Good day to everyone, partners, colleagues, and friends. I'm Attorney Dante Bravo, President of PNIA, and thank you for accepting our invitation to join this virtual event. Today, I have the distinct honor to present to you the Philippine Nickel Industry Association's 2020 Sustainable Development Goals Report. Every September, the world celebrates the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals, which builds on the gains from the Millennium Development Goals, and which seeks to end poverty in all forms and dimensions by 2030. This report is an expression of our commitment and our first concrete step to deliver better contributions to local SDG reports in ways that will result to positive, inclusive, and sustainable transformations in our impact communities, in partnership with our national and local stakeholders. Through this report, we hope to energize our efforts to come up with creative, innovative, and more efficient ways to help steer the Philippines back to its pre-pandemic growth momentum. My presentation today provides highlights of the PNIA 2020 SDG Report, which we are making available to the public through our website. Before I go to the core of my presentation, allow me please to reintroduce our group. PNIA was established 9 years ago in 2012 to serve as the single voice of the nickel development industry. As miners, we see ourselves as stewards of the earth, tasked to take care of our planet for the present and future generations, while we draw our needs and sustenance from it. Unlike other sectors that can operate in perpetuity, mining has a definite end period. But we are conscious that our footprint and accountability extend beyond the end of mine life. We have articulated this philosophy in our vision to position the nickel development industry as a sector that the Filipinos can be proud of because of our contribution to the country's economic development and to nation building. Our members pledge to behave responsibly by being proactive, showing mutual respect, talking and acting with integrity, showing leadership and being consistently inclusive in our methods, policies, and programs. PNIA is composed of 7 mining companies with operations in Zambales, Palawan, Agusan, and Surigao. Together, we have been contributing more than 40% of the total nickel export of the country, which helps make the Philippines an important player in the global nickel trade. As you know, nickel is a raw material that is important in the production of stainless steel and batteries, among many other technologies that are critical to promote infrastructure development, digital innovations, renewable energy, and consequentially, the rise of smart and sustainable cities. With us are 13 affiliate members who are our contractor partners whose expertise, skills, and capabilities are crucial in ensuring safe and efficient mining operations. Further, they help us in implementing our social development and environment protection programs, create employment, and promote livelihood in the countryside. We have learned a lot throughout the 9-year existence of PNIA. We developed, pursued, and learned from various advocacies, programs, and initiatives aligned with our vision and mission. Consistent with our values to behave with inclusivity and mutual respect, we have always involved our stakeholders at the national and local level. We have implemented numerous IEC programs. We have ambitiously hosted a business forum that directed the attention of the international nickel trade market to the Philippines. We continue to be among the first responders to aid communities during disasters, and we continue to look for ways to elevate the positive impact of our efforts. Our partners and stakeholders are part of the process in every step of the way. Their guidance helps us become better as an industry, and their trust inspires us to raise the bar higher. All of this experience led us to where we are now, and we are embarking on a new journey that is ambitious and daunting in scale, but will result to a deeper and more meaningful sense of fulfillment in our role as stewards of the earth. Today, we start our journey in sustainable development, guided by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. As in any start of a journey, We don't have all the answers to questions now. We are in the process of learning, but we know that we are in the right place, doing the things at the right time, towards the right direction. To put into perspective where we are now, it all starts with the policy enshrined in Republic Act 7942, otherwise known as the Philippine Mining Act of 1995. Republic Act 7942 is the reason for our existence and serves as the industry's Bible. It is often touted as the strictest mining regulation in the world, but PNIA members have consistently showed its faithfulness, as proven by our members' compliance record. RA 7942 provides a clear formula that safeguards the protection of society and the environment through its SDMP and EPEP provisions. The implementation of SDMP and EPEP in our host communities brought better understanding of their needs. In partnership with local government administrations and civil society leaders, we have delivered beyond compliance by rolling out corporate social responsibility programs to help bridge gaps in social development initiatives and to provide urgent and timely support where we can. PNIA members have also adopted global standards such as ISO certifications and international modalities such as TSM, which integrates international best practices and superior standards on safety, operations management, and environment protection in our operations. This has been our way of life since we started our mining operations. We have been implementing these programs and improving our approaches even before the SDGs were adopted. Reviewing where we are now and looking into the future, we have come to realize that we need to critique our own development as an industry and make it more responsive to what the future needs. There are many models for sustainability and sustainable development in the world. However, the comprehensiveness, rigor, relevance, and reach of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are unmatched. Further, the UN SDGs have universal influence over governments and non-government organizations, including the private sector across almost all sectors. The United Nations said that its predecessor, the 2015 Millennium Development Goals, have lifted more than 1 billion people out of extreme poverty, made inroads against hunger, and enabled more girls to attend school than ever before, and protected our planet. Nevertheless, in spite of all the remarkable gains, inequalities have persisted, and progress has been uneven. The SDG comes in at this point to build upon the achievements of the Millennium Development Goals and seek to address unfinished businesses. 17 ambitious goals are enshrined in the SDG to eradicate poverty and inequality and to protect the environment for the welfare of present and future generations. Under the SDGs, no one should be left behind, and all sectors are tasked to reach the furthest behind first. At first glance, mining is an unlikely partner and ally in the promotion of the SDGs. But thankfully, the United Nations Development Program foresaw the need to define the mining industry's role in promoting the SDGs. In a series of instructive articles and papers, the UNDP has recognized how the mining sector can stimulate positive economic activity in low-income areas, which is usually the case, especially here in the Philippines. It also recognized that the sector can play a role in environmental stewardship and social development, all in partnership with its stakeholders. At this point, we knew that turning to the SDGs for guidance is the logical and only way to go moving forward. We've always done things in partnership with our stakeholders at the national and local level, which includes government agencies, regulators, communities, including indigenous peoples and grassroots organizations, our employees, our customers, our contractors and their employees, and the media. We draw our social capital from our trust-based relationships And we continue to improve our approaches because of the continuous feedback and support. At this point, I now present to you the highlights of PNIA's 2020 Sustainable Development Goals Report. The report is entitled Global Goals, Local Actions, Sustainability as Our Way of Life in Nickel Mining. It details the social development and environment protection contributions of PNIA members, as well as remarkable stories and anecdotes from our experience at the community level. The report also presents PNIA's commitments and next steps. We first talked about the Sustainable Development Goals during the 2019 Nickel Initiative Business Forum. To follow through on this discussion with the stakeholders, we originally planned to launch this report in 2020. Unfortunately, the pandemic forced us to refocus our energies to help our host communities deal with the health crisis and to adjust our business to the new normal. However, PNIA never abandoned the SDG plan. In fact, our resolve is strengthened that we should be guided by the SDGs in supporting pandemic recovery efforts. This report is our first to elevate PNIA's commitment to sustainable development and to show how sustainability is deeply embedded in our way of life. Sustainability in business is doing operations and delivering service in a way that takes into consideration the environment, the community, and society. This report helps us understand where we are, which will inform our decision on how we should make our efforts more effective in helping eradicate poverty and inequality, protect the environment, ensure that no one is left behind, and that we are prioritizing those who have the least. As an industry, we have been reporting our SDMP and EPP as mandated by law. But through this report, we were able to see how these are aligned and have contributed to the SDGs. By reporting what we have accomplished now and our ways forward, we're challenging ourselves to continue and evolve to be better in what we are doing. Since this is our first SDG report and perhaps the first of its kind in the country, we learned a lot during the process. Understandably, there are report parameters and limitations that we would point out. First, the report only covers data from 2020, which primarily includes compliance report submitted to regulators as required by law. It also includes other data sources monitored by PNIA members such as CSR data and other socioeconomic information from our host communities and partner LGUs. Second, the report only includes performance of PNIA mining companies. Non-mining company affiliates of PNIA are not included in the report as they are not mandated by law to undertake SDMP and EPEP activities. However, we wish to emphasize that they are our critical partners on the ground in the implementation of our social development and environment protection programs. Finally, the report shows how PNIA members' existing programs have contributed to most of the 17 SDGs. Considering, however, that the SDMP and EPEP investments are mandated by law, the number of projects and value of investments naturally gravitated towards three key SDGs. These include SDGs 15, or Life on Land, SDG 1, or No Poverty, and SDG 3, or Good Health and Well-being. In 2020 alone, the report shows that more than 173 projects have been implemented by PNIA members as part of their SDMP, EPEP, and CSR programs. These projects have been found to be aligned with 15 out of 17 SDGs, which gives us a perspective on reach and breadth of these projects. Higher contributions to SDGs number 1, 3, and 15 are to be expected because of the requirements under SDMP and EPEP. It is encouraging to note that our projects have also contributed to SDGs number 2, Zero Hunger, 4, Quality Education, 6, Clean Water and Sanitation, and 9, Industry Innovation and Infrastructure. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a spike in the number of projects under SDG 3, or Good Health and Well-being. and SDG 4, quality education, as PNIA member companies supported pandemic mitigation efforts and adjustment to an online education system. The report was also able to define two levels of contribution. First is the direct business contribution. Because of nickel's role in the global supply chain, the industry contributes to the production of old and new technologies that improve the quality of life in the wider world. This includes stainless steel used in food preparation, motor vehicles, and construction industries. Nickel is also used in the production of rechargeable batteries that drives the shift to more sustainable energy use. As such, PNIA contributes to SDGs 7, 8, 9, and 11. Second will be the economic contribution that is felt by host community beneficiaries and local stakeholders. By providing employment and supporting local suppliers, we are able to contribute economically to the localities where we operate. Our tax payments to the government contribute to national budgets that fund public services. And projects are also geared towards attaining the SDGs. Overall, these economic contributions have relevance across 12 SDGs. The attainment of all SDGs are important, and PNIA's 2020 SDG report shows that we have contributed and established footprint in more than 15 SDGs. However, PNIA members have agreed that there are 3 SDGs that are critical to us mining companies to mitigate results resulting from operations and to ensure that our host communities are economically viable and self-reliant. These 3 include SDGs 15, life on land, 1, no poverty, and 3, good health and well-being. In 2020, PNIA members have allocated more than 531.7 million pesos to environment protection and enhancement program, a huge portion of which was used to progressively rehabilitate mined-out areas. More than 166.8 million pesos were allocated through social development and management program that funded initiatives on livelihood assistance, education and scholarships, health and social, cultural, social services, and public infrastructure. Finally, as the pandemic raised the importance of health and well-being, more than 30% of the SDMP were channeled to support local government efforts to mitigate the risk arising from the pandemic. SDMP programs and initiatives have allowed us to provide livelihood assistance to farmers and fishermen, to fund capacity building programs, and to conduct trainings that improves local livelihood infrastructures. Contributions were also noted in education that benefited more than 1,000 scholars and 70 teachers. Socio-cultural and development programs were also implemented to lift those who need it the most, such as indigenous peoples communities, and sectors with special needs such as senior citizens, PWDs, and indigents. Infrastructure support were also noted to have long-term and far-reaching socio-economic benefits to the community. These projects include establishment of water systems, construction of farm-to-market roads and bridges, and establishment of multi-purpose facilities such as community pathways, streets, public lighting, and the likes. Overall, these projects have been noted for its direct and indirect role in raising the community's ability to gainfully participate in economic activities, thereby helping reduce incidence of poverty in the area. Further, while these projects are directly contributory to SDG number 1, these have been found to also contribute to SDGs number 2, no hunger, and 4, quality education. SDG 3 has become an important marker for PNIA, considering the pandemic has caused an unprecedented health and economic crisis. The Mines and Geosciences Bureau responded by mandating mining companies to redirect 30% of the SDMP fund to COVID-19 efforts. PNIA has generated a total of 49 million pesos out of the redirected funds for SDMP to help host communities and to support the local and national government's pandemic response program. This again establishes the unique role of mining companies as first responders in times of crisis to augment the capabilities and resources of government and to attend to essential needs of the people. These were used to provide food packs to vulnerable families, including IP communities, distribution of hygiene supplies and essential health diagnostics equipment, and creation of pandemic facilities such as isolation rooms and testing centers. PNIA members also reported not losing any of their employees during the pandemic as it managed to remain operational. As such, the implementation of health and hygiene programs were also intensified in the workplace, plus provision for essential assistance to the families of our employees. Finally, the 2020 SDG report provides further validation to how much PNIA members have given utmost attention and prioritization to environment protection. This has resulted to more than 895,000 trees planted in 2020. This is part of the more than 7 million trees that have been planted since we started the progressive rehabilitation of mined out areas. Further, more than 377,000 mangroves have been planted and more than 22 river and coastal cleanups were conducted in 2020 alone. These numbers and efforts are just the beginning of what PNIA members commit to do to restore the natural ecosystem of disturbed areas. These are just some of the highlights contained in the report. Some of you who are following our journey and progress may be familiar with the outcomes and numbers that I have shared. The difference now is that we are assessing these projects in investments not just from a compliance standpoint, but from the lens of set targets under the Sustainable Development Goals. In summary, while all SDGs are important, PNIA will prioritize SDGs number 15, Life on Land, SDG number 1, No Poverty, and SDG number 3, Good Health and Well-being. These SDGs are most prioritized as these are the areas where mining has the most impact on, the environment and the communities. Since the SDGs are not mutually exclusive, we have mapped out how our efforts have direct and indirect contributions across 15 SDGs, and we hope to understand this better so we can improve and enhance our strategies and programs moving forward. As miners, we have profound understanding that it is our duty and accountability to rehabilitate disturbed areas and promote a healthy ecosystem. PNIA members are doing so by employing professionals and experts to guide us in reforestation efforts and use science-based and technically advanced methods that will result to the best outcomes. PNIA members also remain steadfast in fulfilling its commitment to its host communities, including indigenous peoples. The goal is not just to provide for their current needs, but to ensure that these communities will remain sustainable, resilient, and progressive after the end of mine life. Guided by the SDG targets, PNIA hopes to improve its SDMP programs in ways that will end poverty in all its forms and dimensions in our respective host communities. We hope to realize this future in close collaboration and synergy with all our stakeholders at the national and local level. In order for us to be better in this respect, we have a lot of work moving forward, which includes ensuring that data across member companies are consistent and measurement indicators are clear. We also need to refresh and level up our collaboration with our stakeholders to ensure that we are on the same path and picture of success to work on. And as stated by UNDP, we cannot do this alone. We also need to enhance how we involve and engage everyone's help in the process. As we have learned from the past 9 years, we look forward to learning more from everyone in the next decade. To conclude my presentation, I invite you all to visit our website where you can download a copy of the SDG report. It provides more details and elaborations on the data and information that I have just shared today. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I look forward to a spirited discussion with you on how we can work together to translate global goals to local actions. Maraming salamat pong muli at mabuhay tayong lahat.